we'll start our video with some footage of cute baby lambs, because everybody always likes that. We have 2 pens of mamas and babies set up out here already, and we have a lot of ewes yet to go. So one of the questions that I get asked most this time of year is, how do you know when your ewe is getting close to lambing? So I wanted to go through the barn and show you just a few signs of things that I look for to know when a ewe is getting closer to that time. So we're going to flip the camera around, we'll take a look at some ewes, and we'll talk through some of the symptoms you'll see as it gets closer to lambing.
I paused.
And I have to give a special shout out to my video man, Dwight.
Can you?
Do you want to say anything?
Hi!
Do you like the baby lambs?
Yeah, I'm especially playing with them.
I'm going to start with this pen here. These ewes have obviously already lambed. Their babies are running around. But I wanted to show you kind of what they look like from the back end when they're lactating. You can see that their udders get fairly big. And so as they get closer to lambing, we call it bagging up. But they'll actually start bagging up sometimes up to a month before they have babies. And clear through the time that they're milking, they'll have a fairly large udder. So we're going to go down a couple pens and look at some ewes that haven't lambed yet, and we'll see what their udders look like. As we take a look at this Dorset up here, she has not lambed yet, but we can tell that she's already starting to bag up or starting to make an udder.
Which one, Mom?
The one right beside the gate. So that's one thing we can look at and know that the time is getting closer. So to know if your ewe is going to lamb or not, you first need to see a bag of some sort. This girl here, for example, doesn't have much of an udder yet, so she's probably a little bit farther along.
Like a month or 2.
Probably something like that. So the first thing that I always look for is just to see that they're bagging up or starting to make that udder, which tells us that they're going to be lactating soon. Besides bagging up, there's some other signs you can look for on your ewes that they're getting close to lambing. I finally caught one down here. This girl right here looking at us is probably going to lamb within the next half hour or so, I would guess. Couple things that I'm looking at here. You can tell how she started to sink in on the sides. That baby has dropped. So compared to some of the other ewes, you can tell that her belly has really kind of caved in between her legs. She's got a big dip there. That means that that lamb's starting to shift and get ready to move on through the birth canal. I'm going to give her a second to turn around too. The other big sign I notice here is just some discharge coming out. When they get really close to lambing, you'll see a long string of mucus. Seeing mucus doesn't necessarily mean they're going to lamb right away, but in this case, she's acting a little bit different, and I can tell that that's what's coming. This ewe's been pretty restless tonight. She's been laying down, kind of rolling around. She's making a lot of noise. You can tell that she's in labor, I guess. Hopefully she'll turn around here. We can see that mucus I was referencing. You can see that long string hanging down. That's what I'm talking about. So like I said, she's going to have a lamb on the ground fairly soon. So I guess the physical symptoms or the physical signs that you're looking at to tell you that your ewe is close to lambing. You're looking that she's bagged up. But again, she might be bagged up for some time before she lambs. You're looking at that belly dropping, especially like compared to this ewe. You can tell she's not very rounded there on her belly. This one that's in labor, that lamb has really dropped down there. You're looking for some of that discharge. Behaviorally, some of the things that you'll notice that ewes tend to get more restless. They'll be up and down. They might be off by themselves, so typically they're all in a pretty strong pack, but when they get close to lambing, a lot of times they'll go to the corner of the pen. You might notice them moving around, kind of shifting, visibly uncomfortable, I guess, and those are some things that you're looking at. So I'm going to shut this off, give this girl a little bit of time to start pushing that lamb out, and I'll show you once the lamb hits the ground. Here Here's an update on our mama. It's been about 5 minutes since I was out here the last time. I went and got her jug ready in the room and came back out. She's still pretty obviously pushing. Breathing's a little heavier. She's kind of got her rear end down there. I can't see if we have any legs yet or not, but I'm guessing probably not quite. So after you start to see that string of mucus, the next kind of visible sign that you'll see will be the legs starting to stick out. And usually once the legs stick out, it's a pretty quick process. So we'll give her some space to do what she needs to do. I've got a towel out here ready to dry off the new lamb. And also have some OB gloves just in case I do need to assist. You'll have to excuse all the noise down here. The lambs are all cozied up under the heat lamps. And the mamas are calling, telling them that it's time to come eat supper. I'm sure this girl is thinking, dude, give me some space. A couple other things I didn't catch on video, but some kind of telltale signs they're getting close to lambing. I mentioned the ewes will be restless. They'll also kind of circle around. They'll stamp at the ground. They'll kind of make a nest like she's done. Oh, getting closer. Sorry, no privacy, girl. I may try to jump in the pen and get from a better angle. I just saw some feet start to peek out. There's the ground stamping I was telling you about. Kind of pawing at the ground. I imagine that goes back. I don't know. I'm totally pulling this out of my rear end. But I imagine that goes back to their instincts of being in the wild. And just making a safe place for that lamb to land. Kind of making a nest, if you will. I saw the feet peek out a minute ago. They're not out too far yet. Normally I don't sit down here and wait, but this is the last thing between me and my bed. So I'm just gonna let her do her thing while I'm out here, and then move her and the lamb to a jug, and then hopefully catch a little bit of sleep. There's several though out here that are acting like they could go tonight, so I will have to get up. I usually set my alarm for 12, 2, 4, and 6, and then I check the cameras, see if there's any action, see if there's any ewes that, you know, are circling around, standing in the corner, stamping, or sometimes I'll even catch a new lamb on the camera, and then I'll come out and try to get them in the jugs right away. I'm going to flip around and show you what we have going on here and what we'll do once they lamb. So once they lamb, depends if it's warm and I'm out here doing some other things anyway, I'll let them stay out in these group pens for a little while, hopefully to drop, you know, their afterbirth and stuff like that. Give them a minute just to kind of recover. And then tonight though, as soon as she has that lamb, I'm going to move them into the jugs so I can head into the house. I'll just swing open this red gate over here. There's a walk alley here. So I'll pick up the lamb and carry it, and the ewe will just jump over that wall and follow me down into the room. And the room is heated, and that's then where we have the jugs. She's getting closer, stamping her feet, circling around. We'll see. It's been about 15 minutes since I showed you that first video of the discharge coming out of her vulva. I moved in here to the lambing room to wait a few minutes. It's about 50 degrees in here, which is a lot nicer than being in the barn. I didn't put on enough clothes. I didn't really intend to stay out here. I was just going to do a quick check. But then when I saw that she was in labor, I decided, might as well stay out here instead of going in and coming back in a little bit. So I'm going to give her a few minutes and then I'll go check again. Man, that's how it always goes. I literally just was out here 2 minutes ago, no legs or anything. They were kind of peeking in and out. I went into the room to warm up a couple minutes. I peeked my head around the corner and I just saw a lamb pop out. So she's got the lamb on the ground. I'm going to help her out by just drying this lamb off a little bit, Making sure it doesn't have any mucus on its nose. Come on, Mama. Keep working. Good sized lamb. They're perfectly capable, these are, of doing this on their own. If I'm out here, I just like to help by making sure there's nothing covering their nose, so it's a little bit easier to get them going. I also give them kind of a big, vigorous rub down. Get those internal organs going. Get those lungs working. Hey, baby. Welcome to the world. So sorry I missed the action. I had every intention of showing you a live birth here, but just got the before and the afters. So I'm going to let this ewe do her job for a little bit. That lamb will be up in just a minute, and then I'll get him moved into the jugs. I am going to jump around to see. Sometimes you can tell if there's another one coming. Sometimes you can't. I don't see anything sticking out, so there may be another one in there. It's a decent sized lamb though, so it may just be a single too. So, good job, Mama. Maybe we'll catch the next birth on camera for you. I guess I just need to be a little bit more patient. Kind of a little atypical. I mean, that lamb just shot right out of there. A lot of times what you'll see is a little bit slower process, legs, gradual legs, and usually once you see the legs you have a good 15 minutes or so, but not tonight. So Mama pushed her right out. Good job, girl. We'll get her moved into the room, into a jug, and go from there. I came back to check on our Mama. She's doing just what she's supposed to do. She's getting that lamb all cleaned off. That lamb will be up in just, I mean, it's almost up on its feet now, just a few minutes after birth. You'll see them sometimes. The moms will even paw at their lambs, and it looks like, you know, they're really kind of kicking the snot out of that lamb, but it's just kind of their instinct to make sure that that lamb gets up and going like it needs to. Good job, Mama. One thing I didn't catch on camera that I really wish I would have. So many times when those ewes give birth, first thing they do is let out a huge yawn. It's a lot of work, huh, girl? Kind of been surveying the barn as I'm out here waiting for her to get finished up there. I'd really like to see her start to drop some of her placenta. Usually that comes almost right away. You'll at least see some discharge. Kind of wondering if she doesn't have another lamb in there maybe. Looks like there's a lot of ewes that could go tonight. What I've been seeing this year is when one of them goes, usually 3 or 4 of them go. So it might be a busy night. There's this one ewe down there that's just giving me a look like this is going to happen. And then you got this big girl up here at the feed line. I have no idea how many lambs she has in there, but she's been about that big for the last month. So we'll see. I'm going to give this girl about 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and move her into the jugs. Usually if there is a second one coming, you see it fairly soon. I don't see anything happening back there, but I've come out to the jugs before and been surprised by a second lamb, so it might happen again. So I gave her about 5 minutes, and I came back down here thinking I was going to move the lamb, but I really think she might have another one in there. So in my experience, pretty much right away after they lamb, you'll start to see some of the afterbirth start to discharge, and a lot of times it's red and stringy, for lack of better adjectives. But what I see now is, first of all, nothing came out right away. And typically, as soon as that lamb comes out, some of that placenta is starting to come out too. But what I'm seeing with her is more of a clear discharge. And that clear discharge tells me that there might be another lamb in there. So she's really interested in working on getting this one up. You can see that lamb's starting to look for where it needs to go. They usually have pretty good instincts and find that right away. Sometimes with twin mamas, you'll see that they won't pay a lot of attention to that first lamb because they know they have another one coming. But she's doing a good job of getting that lamb cleaned up, ready to go. Like I said, it's really only been about 5 minutes since that lamb hit the ground. So we'll see if she turns around here again. That lamb's latching on, which is good. That tells me that it's going to get its colostrum. I don't have to worry about that. Usually if they latch on, they'll go back again. They don't worry too much about getting them tubed. I'm going to try to get her to spin around and show you what she has coming out. See, there's just that clear, thick discharge. Again, usually after they lamb, you'll see something more stringy and not quite so liquidy. So we'll see what happens here in the next couple minutes. She's definitely pushing again. So I didn't catch the first one coming out for you, but I'll stay here and get the second one. And I'm sure there's another lamb in there that's coming now. We'll see. Sometimes the second one comes right away. Sometimes it's 20-30 minutes later. As quick as this first one came out, I'm going to guess that the second one's there, ready to come out too. And you can see she's starting to pay a little less attention to that lamb. Starting to think about other things. This is the same kind of discharge that she had right before the first one was born. So that's kind of what you can expect. If you start to see that, your ewes getting really close. Now you might see a little bit of mucus here and there in the months leading up to lambing, but this is a pretty telltale sign. Okay, I shut my phone off so that I could conserve battery, and I was so afraid I was going to miss it again this time. I thought for sure that lamb was coming out. She's doing a really good job of pushing on her own. I haven't had to pull too many lambs this year. There's been a few kind of bigger singles that I've had to help the ewe out with. But for the most part, the lambs have been a good size. Big enough to be healthy and vigorous, but small enough that the ewes can still birth them pretty easy. People are either going to love this video or they're going to tune out about 8 minutes ago. I think it's pretty cool to watch. Miracle of life. She's got to be thinking, dude, lady, just let me be. I'm going to try to get close and not bother her, but you can start to see the feet just peeking out. That white that you see there is the bottom of the hoof. So that's a leg coming out. That's typically what you see. Usually you see a leg, then you'll see the other leg, and usually you have a little bit of time once you see the legs. That first one kind of tricked us a little bit. I'm seeing the second leg now. There's some more feet. This is one multitasking mama. So what you'll see first, hopefully, normally, is the two front feet, followed by the head. And then once the head is out, the whole lamb just slides out. That's why you usually have a little bit of time once you see those front legs, because it takes a little bit to work that head out. Once that head gets out, there's really nothing keeping the lamb in there. And it's going up and out. Now we have the nosy neighbor. So this is typical sometimes too. You can see you don't see the legs anymore. The lamb's kind of shifted around in there. You'll see him here again in just a minute. Here they come again. There it comes. There it comes. Stand up, Mama. Stand up, girl. Straight out like that. I'm going to help her just a bit. Oh, yep. I'm actually not. I was a little bit worried for the lamb, but I saw it shake itself. I know she's tired laying down. Get it out the rest of the way. Again, I'm going to take the towel. Just get that nose wiped off. So I'm sure there's no mucus over it. That's the sound I like to hear. She's going to stand up in just a minute, I know. This lamb's going to be just fine. Good job, girl. Give it a good rub down. Let her start doing her job, getting it going. Second one's a lot bigger. I'll give her a few minutes and then I'm going to move into the jugs. When I was a sophomore in high school, my beginning prepared speech for FFA was about lambing and kind of everything you needed to know and be prepared for. And I opened my speech with this poem called The Shepherd's Lament, and these lines just keep going through my head. Once they've lambed, you're glad to see that their efforts didn't end in tragedy. There's no emotion so sublime as a ewe and lamb that's doing fine. And that's what I see tonight, Mama, and not just one baby, but two. I got her moved in here to her jug, a ewe lamb and a ram lamb. They're off and going good. I'm sure that she's going to make sure that they do what they need to do. So there's several more ewes out there that look like they might unpack tonight, so to speak. So I'll be down to the barn in a couple hours and I'll check on these lambs again then. So I was afraid I missed the live birth on the first one, but I caught it on the second one.